Well, hey, hi there. So, after January, which wasn't a very good reading month, passed, we're now into February, and it was a pretty good reading month. Now, there are some books I cannot talk about because I'm judging them for the Book 2 prize, but I can tell you what I'm reading there. But the rest, oh, it was great. And one DNF. Usually my DNF per month is 6 or 7. So, I don't know, it looks like everything was aligned here. So, let's start. I read 12 books, which is okay. Well, two very thin ones though, so would that be 10? Who cares? Okay, so here we go. I finished this last night. This is Never Seen the Sea by Holly Watson. This is by the Open Pen publisher. What they do is they publish a series of novelettes. And I've read one called Shitstorm. It's the second one I've read, and I'll tell you, this is fantastic. When I was young, I was a big fan of Adrian Mole because his books, well, Sue Townsend's books used to make me laugh. And this evoked that same feeling. It's a diary of a girl growing up in the late 90s, and it's a commentary on that type of society then. But her life is falling apart. She's got weird neighbors. Her grandparents don't get along with each other. Her father works in Germany. It's so funny. It's just page after page after page of laugh out bits. Now, it's if you like that type of humor, if you like the Adrian Mole type of humor, then I definitely recommend this. It looks like the sun's going. I don't know. It's going in and out. It looks like it's going to rain, but then these patches of sunlight come in. Okay, that's one. Next, I finished this morning. Yeah, I said might as well squeeze in two thin ones. For those who don't know, I choose my books at a jar, but they've been the jar's been picking a lot of thick ones lately. So I had to get some thin ones, because I needed it, or I would have gone mad. I like thick books, but not 10 in a row. Anyway, so Max Porter, The Death of Francis Bacon. I really liked Max Porter's previous books, Death is a Thing with Feathers and Lanny. Lanny a little bit more. This is a bit disappointing. It feels like it was chucked off in an afternoon. Could have been better. This takes Francis Bacon's life and merges it with the grotesqueness of his paintings with certain landmarks, during his work. It's basically it. It could have been more, let's put it that way. It's still good, but it's not essential for the Max Porter fan. Okay, my other Spruce and Maple Self by Susan Finley. A wicked, wicked little book here. I really enjoyed it. Lots of fun. What carries it though is the main character, Allegra Leclef. It's about this cellist, and she has broken her wrist. And this is all takes place in 2016, so there was Brexit and political unrest. So, while her wrist is fractured, Europe is fractured as well. She has to give a master class in Greece. Her husband is abroad. Her husband's name is Albin. So you can see the symbolism. There's a lot of symbolism in here in the names and places that she visits. For example, Greece is the birthplace of culture, but yet it's crumbling. Anyway, her wrist is fractured. Europe is fractured. She has to go to Amsterdam. Her head's a mess. She's going to have a breakdown. And she's harboring some secrets as well. This is a brilliant read. I really like the way, just very tiny short chapters. Uh, Chapter titles are all significant. Oh, this is brilliant. Susan Finley has a new book out this year, so I'm really looking forward to that. You've got to love independence. They always come up with the goods. Anyway, the publisher does Moist Books. Next, read in my mother tongue. This is Costillo by Claire Azzopardi. This is fantastic. Really, really good. Let's take away the plastic. Can we do that? Yeah, so we can maybe something a little bit more clear. Nah, it's not working. So let's put that back on. Anyway, so this is, I guess you could call it a meta thriller of sorts. It's about this girl who visits her mother, and she wants to ask her why she ran away when the main character is, I think, 7 years old or 5 years old, something like that. And then she finds out that, and it's not a spoiler, that her mother has committed two murders. One of them, no, okay, one of them, I think both are political. You could say both are political murders. But one has a meta element, let's put it that way. Now, this girl's aunt wrote a series of detective novels with a person called Inspector Costillo. I don't want to give too much details because I don't want to spoil the fun of actually discovering the twists in this book. But all I can say is that this writer, her mother, and this girl's lives are all entwined. It's a political novel. Well, all novels are political in their own way. But it's also about motherhood. It's about the power of fiction. It's quite a layered book. And some really good news is that it's going to be translated into English by Pressbar Press. Next month, I will be reading a couple of Pressbar Press titles, so stay tuned for that. I am excited. I'd like to see how this will translate into English. I also watched the adaptation. It's a play 2 weeks ago, and they took the certain elements and gave it a new spin, and it worked very well in that setting. So yeah, highly recommended. For those who can speak Maltese, and you'll have to wait a bit when the English translation comes out. Okay, another gem. So there's a little story behind this book. For those, without going into too much detail, I had some problems in September, and this was the book I was reading, and things were so worrisome I could not continue. So I dropped it and I left it for February. Thank goodness I did. I never ever DNF a review copy. So that's a policy of mine. No matter what. Even if I can't stand it, I will review it. So, or if I drop it, I will revisit it. Anyway, so this is Ruth Ozeki, the book of Form and Emptiness. And it's even better than the previous one, The Tale of a Time Being. It's much better. And that was a great book. Anyway, what's it about? It's about mental illness. That's one part. So, what happens is that a boy loses his mother. Not his mother, sorry. A boy loses his father, and he copes with it in a certain way. And his mother copes with it a certain way. Now, that's the superficial description. There's Zen Buddhism, there's mental illness, there's immigration. It's a very, very weighty book. Yet it flows and it's enchanting. It has a bit of a self help element, but works very, very well in this case. Highly, highly recommended. Then I read out. I see. I told you about all the thick books that were being chosen. Anyway, or I had to review. So this is Natsuo Kirino's Out, translated by Stephen Snyder. This is part of the Vintage Japanese series. I bought this 3 years ago. This book has been on my radar for a very, very long time. With the original cover, it had a knife slashing through it. And then one day I saw this. I said, "Okay, might as well buy it." And its turn came up. Uh, the translation's fantastic. It flows like a novel, so you can't tell it's translated. But the plot, I don't know. I wasn't too sold on it, I could say. I think it was overlong. It's about a woman who kills her husband, and then her four friends gang up and help her. Not gang up, they join up and help her. And it's how one action can lead to another consequences. The gory bits are fantastic. I mean, apparently she doesn't. The author is not really influenced by horror, but she should write a horror novel. The thriller bits I didn't find that good. It becomes a sort of wild goose chase. It works, but not that well. If this was a 250-page novel, this would be hailed as a classic. Well, it is a classic, but I would have preferred it more. Let's put it that way. Instead, there's a lot of waffling. Could have been edited better, in my opinion. Still worth a read. The crows are significant. There, that's my parting moment. Now, this was the other disappointment of the month. This was a local. It's a local book actually. So Spinola Bay, 10,000 Mojitos on the Rock. It's about this person who moves to Spinola Bay. Spinola Bay is a popular part in Malta. It's usually more I wouldn't say, well, tourists go there as well, but it leads to a teenage town. It sounds like something out of Pinocchio, but it's true. Okay, and the way Malta's built is that Spinola Bay leads into that's my tummy rumbling. Leads into a place called St. Julian's and leads into no, it leads into Potterville. Now Potterville is a town where lots of teenagers and youths hang out on Saturday night. It's a rite of passage for every Maltese youth. There's discos, bars, and things like like Pleasure Island in Pinocchio. It's the exact same thing. Pool halls, and you're supposed to go there, get drunk, and do things like that. Anyway, so it's a place where you can be hedonistic for Friday and Saturday night. If you're in your from your mid teens to your early 20s. Well, anyway, so this character Ben moves to Spinola Bay, and there's the love statue there. That's a bit significant because this was built in the 2000s and is supposed to reflect the shadow is supposed to reflect the word love on the water and on the ground, but it only worked on the ground. But anyway, so he moves to Spinola Bay and he instantly dives into this world of hedonism. Has lots of sex, takes lots of drugs, and then he has to pay for his actions in a big way. If I was 20 years old, I would have enjoyed this, but as a 43-year-old, it didn't mean much to me. The staccato narrative kind of bothered me. I wasn't the right demographic, that's all I could say. Tinderbox by Megan Dunn. Out of all, like I said, the jar picks out I picked the title out of a jar. I'm hoping that one day there'll be a ton of I have all the Galley Beggar books, and I'm hoping that I'll get a ton of those one day. So anyway, Tinderbox. This is a really good book. It's nonfiction. It's sort of not the usual Galley Beggar style, except there's and I've been using this word a lot in this video. There's a meta element. It's been a very meta month, I guess. So there's a meta element. It's about this person, the author, who decides to write for National November Writing Month or whatever it's called. Fahrenheit 451 from a female's point of view. But at the same time, her marriage is crumbling. She's about to be fired. Her job is going under, she worked at Borders Book Club and is going under administration. And there's a lot of problems. But she merges this with Fahrenheit 451, both the book and the film, and it's very clever. It is funny in places. It's a pleasurable read. Now, the rest are book prize reading. Detransition Baby, The Sentence, hell of a book. This will have their own video next in April. And Crossroads. Those I can't talk about. Okay, so that was it. 13 minutes, not too bad. Like and subscribe. Oh yeah, you see, I never get this in order. I always get it mixed up and I'm too lazy to edit. So how was your reading month? Write them down. Like and subscribe. Let's try to get it to 500. If it goes to 500, I'll do a Q&A. Because it's been 3 years now and I'm like 400. Not that I care about the numbers, but, see them rise up. I think that's it. Take care and hopefully see you next month.